Welcome, everyone. I'm super excited for today, and I believe that everyone here has something to benefit from this talk. I'm just going to give us a quick breakdown of how the session will go. I'm going to first kick it off by introducing you guys to Women in Big Data and our speakers. Then we're going to have a talk on continuous intelligence just to explain what it is. And then we're going to go on to Leti, who's going to take us through continuous intelligence in marketing. And then we're going to have our last speaker who's going to be talking about the role of telecommunications in continuous intelligence. Just a quick announcement. Our last speaker is having a network issue, so I'm not sure if by the time she has to do her presentation, she'll be able to join in the call. My fingers are crossed that she'll be able to join, but she is fixing the issue and hopefully it should be sorted by the time she has to present. So I'm going to kick off the presentation by just taking you guys through a video that will show us what Women in Big Data is all about, just so you know what we stand for, what we represent, and yeah.
Big data is changing the world around us. Today, much of what we do, see, touch, and experience generates data. Collecting and correlating these huge data sets helps us extract brand new, valuable insights. Big data helps us make better decisions, work more efficiently, reduce costs and risk, and predict the future. Anya uses big data to analyze traffic patterns so her city can get people in and out of concerts, games, and other events quickly and safely. Ria uses big data to track shoe style trends on social media so that manufacturers can plan ahead, saving costs and resources, reducing waste, and better meeting customer demand. Lakshmi uses big data to analyze genomics, contributing to new methods to defeat deadly diseases. Lee uses big data to keep track of whale migrations to protect endangered species and to help researchers learn more about these magnificent animals. And Marta uses the power of big data to rigorously analyze human rights violations around the world and to help protect the most vulnerable in areas of conflict. But, like many technical fields, big data presents a number of hurdles for women. Big data is a male-dominated area where women are a distinct minority. Too often, women are not encouraged to pursue the technical classes and degrees needed for fulfilling careers in big data. Plus, too many companies just don't get that they can be more successful and profitable when gender diversity is a priority. The Women in Big Data Forum is out to change how big data gets done and who does it. We're a collection of women working hard to address the shortage of females in the big data workforce. We work for industry leaders in big data, and our goals are to inspire, to connect, to grow, to champion the success of women in big data, and to increase women's representation in big data to at least 25% by 2020. Join us and help make a difference. Visit www.womeninbigdata.org to learn more.
So yes, guys, that was just a brief introduction of what Women in Big Data is all about, what we represent and what we stand about and what we're trying to achieve. So now that we know what Women in Big Data is about, I'm going to kick off my presentation on continuous intelligence. My name is Johanna. I'm a data analyst and I'm also part of Women in Big Data. I head the training lead. So I'm going to be just giving us a brief view of what continuous intelligence is. So the primary goal of every business is to stay relevant and also generate revenue. And how we do this is based on the data that we have, because everyone knows these days that data is gold. So this is where continuous intelligence comes into play. I think we can all agree that one of the most important lessons that COVID-19 has taught us is the importance of staying relevant. And being relevant is being up to date with the current trends, the current business data, and the current tools that are there that we can use to advance our business and stuff. So according to our country stats, 4 in 10 countries will not be able to continue operating after this pandemic due to the old systems that they are using, and also that they rely mostly on manual processes. So what continuous intelligence uses real-time data to automate all processes and also provide humans with decision-making analytics so that they're able to make better decisions for their businesses and also gain more value and also have competitive advantage as opposed to their adversaries. So in one instance or many, all of us has made use of continuous intelligence. One of the tools that uses continuous intelligence is an app called Waze. It's a GPS navigation tool which collects data in real time, and it's able to tell you in real time where the traffic is, where the cameras are, where the police officers are, so you can dodge and dive traffic and get to your destination in time. This technology makes use of real-time data and gets you and helps you make precise decision in terms of which route to use. So I'm just gonna show you guys a clip in how this continuous intelligence is being used in today's world. So you can see how it relates to the continuous business goals and the continuous day-to-day life that we are living.
The way people look at data keeps evolving. Now you can use video streams to manage and monitor changes in enterprise applications like connected agricultural apps, automated airports, or smart cities. TIBCO's Connected Intelligence platform creates a kind of enterprise nervous system that helps you sense and respond in real-time conditions. For example, drones can inventory live cattle in real time. Airport security footage is used to monitor and smooth passenger flow. And real-time video streaming shows parking availability, traffic, and vehicle speed. In Sydney, Australia, we used a public webcam to analyze highway traffic. We applied TIBCO Predict analytics tools to explore the number, speed, direction, and type of vehicles. Our advanced analytics provided fast insights on things like vehicle type, average bus speed, and vehicles going faster and slower than the speed limit. We could do all this with live streaming data. All visualizations are dynamically interactive with data in motion, reflecting real-time analysis and predictions directly on event streams by way of embedded data science and machine learning models. In this case, we connected TIBCO Streaming and TIBCO Messaging Apache Kafka to the real-time video feed from a CCTV and used deep learning image recognition to identify vehicle categories using machine learning technologies like OpenCV and TensorFlow. The real-time feed populated TIBCO Spotfire visualizations, intuitive graphical representations that provide immediate understanding of traffic conditions thanks to its unique ability to handle streaming data. That's how TIBCO helps you understand traffic flows, congestion and accidents, or crop health, animal behavior, people movement, and much more. This is TIBCO Continuous Intelligence, helping you use your data for operational excellence.
Okay, that's it from my side, guys. I was just giving a quick introduction of what continuous intelligence is. Leti is going to take us through how this technology is being used on our day-to-day life in marketing. Leti, over to you.
Right. Good morning, everyone. And today I'll be giving you some insights into how we use continuous intelligence in marketing. But before I begin, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Letitia Smits, and I'm currently the marketing specialist at Intergrow. I completed my Bachelor's of Business Administration degree in 2014 and started my marketing career early 2015 in the retail industry, which involved a lot of business to customer marketing. I then shifted my focus to business marketing and in the IT and software industry in 2018. And I'm currently studying further to specialize in online marketing. So to start off, what exactly is marketing? I found this explanation to explain it better than any dictionary can. It was written by Laura Lake, who is a marketing professional and author of Customer Behavior for Dummies. And she's a former writer for the Balanced Small Business online publication. So she defines marketing as, it is the process of teaching customers why you should choose your product or service over the competitors. And it is a form of persuasive communication. It is made up of every single process involved in moving that product or service from the business to the customer. Marketing includes the product or service concept, identifying who would purchase such a product or service, promoting it, and moving it through all the appropriate channels to the customers. So as you can see from this definition, marketing plays a big role in the success of business as a whole. And therefore, it is very important for us to use relevant and up-to-date information in making marketing decisions. So here I have listed some of the marketing functions that require continuous intelligence. So first of all, we do things like create, implement, and maintain the company brand. We track trends, we monitor our competitors and our target audience. We do website maintenance and optimizations, social media management. We run with email marketing, as well as event planning and coordination, content creation, lead generation campaigns, advertising campaigns, both print and online, but as you know, the whole world is going digital, so online is always the way to go. We also create and update sales materials, build and maintain a customer database, and conduct internal and external surveys. Right, so there are many tools available today that help us track our marketing activities. And it's up to us, the marketing department, to monitor this analytics and to create reports on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, depending on the marketing activity. So our first one that we have and that we use is Google Analytics. So this monitors your website's activity and is one of the main sources that provides you with real-time live information that can be used to make a host of informed decisions. It tracks many things, like what device or browser people are using when they access your site. And so therefore you can optimize for those particular browsers or devices, because not everything is responsive in the same way on all different sizes. So then you can determine what size would best and to optimize for that. It also determines things like which countries or regions the web visitors come from, their gender, their age, and even the language that their devices are set to. So this can tell us things like when we are creating content, whether to type it in South African or UK English or US English, or it even tells us what kind of visitors we're getting from what regions they're from, so that we can build communications around what would best suit them and what they would find interesting. It even goes on to analyze things like how long visitors spend on your website, how many pages they visit during a session, and specifically which pages they've visited and what actions they have taken on those pages. So for example, did they click on a link or a button? Did they download a brochure or watch a video? If they watched a video, did they watch the entire video, half the video, or did they just push play and pause? And it even tracks whether or not they've navigated to other pages. Google Analytics can even further tell you things like what are the most popular pages on your website and new versus returning visitors, and things such as bounce rates for your site on average and per page. So someone is counted as a bounce when they land on a page and didn't take any other action on that page. So they didn't click on a link or a button. They didn't watch a video or download a brochure or even as much as navigate to another page on your website. Then they're counted as a bounce. So if you have a very high bounce rate for a particular page, then it means that whoever is landing there, whoever you're pushing that content to, isn't finding any value in the page that they're landing on. And furthermore, Google Analytics can tell us things like, we can link it to e-commerce if you have an online store. So it can tell you things like, what are the most popular products? What is selling the most? What products are selling the best in which countries? And then you can take that information and make actual product decisions and targeted advertising campaigns to push particular products towards the countries or regions that purchase it the most. Then we move on to Google AdWords. Now, all your YouTube advertising gets done through Google AdWords, whether it's banners or 3-second videos that you overlay on other content. All of that gets done through Google Analytics, and Google Analytics tracks all your advertising data. So how many times it was viewed, clicked, etc. You can also purchase keywords or key phrases through your Google AdWords. And this is when you pay Google for a particular phrase, such as, for example, women in big data. If we were to purchase that, we would bid against other people for that particular phrase as well. But what Google then does is when people search that term, your website will then rank right at the top of the search list. And the way we also choose which words or phrases to use gets done with the Keyword Planner tool. So this helps us figure out what keywords our desired target market is using so that we can create a keyword strategy with that real-time data. It is also best practice to perform A/B testing on all your online advertising. Doesn't matter whether it's Google advertising, YouTube, social media. Best practice A/B testing, and this will give you a little bit more insight into your audience and their preferences. So A/B testing is when you only change one aspect of your advert. You either change the way you write your message, the title, or the creative. So using different images with the same message and the same title, or using a different message with the same images and the same title. So you just swap out one thing, and then you'd run all 3 alternatives at the same time, targeted at the same target audience, and then it will run it and first run that campaign for a small section of your target audience to see which one people prefer the best, and then it will push the best performing ad to the rest of the target audience. This also gives us the insights to understand what resonates best with our target audience so that our future creatives or messages can be along the same lines. So Google AdWords provides you with the analytics to determine which campaigns bring in the most traffic and conversions. We then have Google Data Studio, and this allows you to create custom reports reflecting only the information that you are interested in. It pulls this live data from your Google Analytics and your Google AdWords accounts, and you can even import information from your CRM. Then you have Console, which is yet another Google software product. that helps you with search engine optimization. So search engine optimization at its most basic is the better your website performs and the more relevant the information is to your visitors, the higher Google will rank your website on searches. So console tells us things like page loading speeds and how Google indexes your web pages. And if any errors occurred, it will tell you how to fix it, or it will tell you things like how can you optimize certain pages to perform better. For example, you would use keywords as well for search engine optimization because Google crawls and indexes your pages. So it basically reads your page and pulls out those keywords from the information on that page and uses that to compare it to people's search terms, and then will bring up your page if your keywords on your page match their search terms. So this is all how everything fits together and how we use all these pieces of Google information to form decisions around websites and online advertising. Then we move on to social media. Now, each social media platform has their own analytics or insights, and you can export these as Excel spreadsheets. So what I usually do is I pull one of these data sheets once a month at the end of every month so that it's always for the same time range. And then I enter that data into a custom report to reflect the information that is most important to me. For example, paid versus organic traffic, the total amount of followers, and the total amount of new followers. I generally also create graphs out of these so that I can see the trend. And if there was a particular spike on a particular month, I go and check the individual posts to see what caused that spike so that we can formulate more content around those spikes, because clearly that is what people find very interesting. I also look at things like total impressions, which is the amount of times your company page or the post was viewed on someone's news feed, or if they viewed it directly. I also check total engagements. So this is the total amount of clicks, comments, shares, likes, reactions, retweets received on all your posts combined. Something else that marketing people might want to take a look at is, if they operate in an organization that's global, is the total amount of following per country, so that you would know what kind of content to push to increase the following in certain countries. And of course, I keep an eye on the individual posts and their engagements to see what content resonates most with our audience so that we can create similar content going forward. Right, then we move on to our email campaigns and email software. So there are many different kinds of companies out there that provide email software solutions that we can utilize. So what we do is you can either send emails or newsletters or invitations and surveys and things like that to your customer database, which you link your database to the email software. Now, as a side note, it is always very important to keep that database as up to date as possible, with as much information about each contact as possible, in order to send the most relevant information to reduce the likelihood of receiving unsubscribes or being reported as spam. So you can filter, for example, if you include your entire contact database's job titles or responsibilities, then you will be able to filter for that and only push content towards the people that would actually find that content interesting. That is always best practice. Right, so these email solutions help you track different things as well. So they can tell you how many emails actually got delivered, how many emails bounced, how many people opened your email, and the actual person who opened it, so that you can then forward more information to that person, seeing as they've already showed interest in opening your mail. And then you stop bothering the people who didn't open your mail, because then you're going to be spamming them. Which links were clicked on the most. So, for example, if I'm creating a newsletter, in that newsletter, I hyperlink everything. I would include a picture. So let's say I keep all my content on my website, on my blog post. I then want to send that content in a newsletter to my contact database. All I include in that newsletter is an image, the title, and a small blurb, which are all hyperlinked back to the content on the website. So that, therefore, you can then track which of those titles or links were clicked on the most. And that will give you an indication as to what resonates best with your target audience or your contact database to once again formulate content for them. You can then cross-reference this so that you can see whether or not they just by accidentally clicked on the link, or whether they actually found whatever was on that page useful by cross-referencing it with the bounce rate of that particular page at the time that you sent that email out. So that's how things will also interconnect with one another. We then also conduct surveys. So one of the survey software solutions is SurveyMonkey, and that can be used to digitally collect real-time feedback from customers or event attendees. And the nice thing about surveys is that you can ask direct questions to figure out what you're doing wrong and what you can improve on and what people do like. And these programs will then collate all those responses and put it into one beautiful report for you, so that you can use that when organizing future events or products. You can even send out surveys to find out what people like about your product and what they don't like about your product. So that is what we use surveys for, and that is how we collect that data. Right. So, in conclusion, marketing relies heavily on collecting and analyzing real-time data in order to make informed decisions about the product or service, how best to promote it, and how to distribute it to the desired target market. Thank you so much for listening. Back to you, Joanna.
Any questions, guys?
Yes, hi. I actually have some questions on the chat there. Or should I just read them out?
Let me just pop it up. Oh, there's a question for you, Letty. Do you find online advertising relevant in SA with our connectivity issues? Is there still value in print media, or do you practice both?
So I'm going to be giving you a very biased answer right now, in the sense of everything is moving digital, and that includes marketing. It obviously depends on your product or your service, whether you would engage in print media, but the way the entire world is going, and SA as well, they don't have much of a choice, is digital. So I would rather, instead of print media, go into an agreement with a publication for their online publication. They also send newsletters, to rather be in those newsletters to connect directly with their contact database, rather than run lead generation campaigns through their contact database, but have everything be digital so that you can track what people like, what people don't like. I wouldn't go print media, because there's no way of determining whether it's worked or not. You're spending amples of money. They tell you, okay, so many people have received the publication, but you don't even know if they've opened that publication, if they've read your article, if they've seen your logo. You know nothing. You can't track anything. So I would highly recommend going completely online advertising.
Another question, thank you, Letty. Another question is, are all these tools really available to the public?
A lot of them are free. So Google Analytics, completely free. Console, free. All of these tools Google gives to you for free, and it trains you on them for free so that you can make the best use of them. So for your Google AdWords, before it's sometimes quite a complicated piece of software, they provide you with the training to be able to use it. You then need to obviously spend the money to run the actual advert, but everything leading up to that is free. Learning how to use it is free. SurveyMonkey, I know you would need to pay a subscription, but there are other forms of doing this, such as Microsoft Forms or Google Forms. Google Forms is very user-friendly, and it allows you to do quite elaborate surveys, and it collates all of that data into beautiful reports for you, and it's all for free. So 90% of all of the software we use in marketing, yes, most of the time, depending on how big the company is, we do pay a subscription. But if it's, for example, a side hustle, there are many, many free products. It just limits you in terms of what you can do on it.
Cool. Another question we have here is, do I strictly need to have a qualification in marketing to go into this field, or can I just start learning on online platforms and just, yeah?
So yes, you can use online, like Udemy, for example, to study a bunch of marketing things. And I would take it one section at a time, because as you've seen, I'll go back to, let's see if I can get this to cooperate. All those marketing functions. Yeah, let me bring this back up for you. There are many marketing functions and things, and more often than not, in the very big organizations, each of these functions has one person that actually specializes in it. So, but it is very good for you to take it as a breakdown, go look for courses that are specifically around that topic, and do the Udemy course. I'm sure there are many agencies that will overlook the fact that you don't have a degree necessarily, because things progress so quickly with digital these days that the degree that I did only now has about, I don't know, 30% relevance to what I actually learned back then. And everything else I've had to pick up and learn as I go along, also doing some Udemy courses myself, etc., so that you can keep up to date, because these things change all the time. So yes, you can. There are many places that will take you on as long as you have the basic knowledge.
As long as you have, cool. We have one last question and then we're done. The last question is, how would you advise a small company that's just starting to get itself out there?
Social media and Google. Google helps you so much to do these things. Websites are extremely important. You can use, for example, something like Wix.com to create a very free, very beautiful modern website, but it will be up to you to create the content. So always keep your target market in mind and think of what content would draw them to your website, where you can then give them more information about the things that they're interested in and the things that you can do for them in order to reach their goal of satisfying that need. So websites, very important. The only thing you would need to actually really spend some money on, which isn't even a lot, it's very cheap, is a domain name, which you can very cheaply get through like GoDaddy.com. And Then you need to, after you have your website up and running, you need to link social media. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, if like, for example, business to business, LinkedIn is very important. Then start making regular posts. You have to post regularly because you need to kind of be in the face of your target market enough for them not to forget about you, but little enough for them not to get annoyed by you. So I would post at least, if you have a product and it's business to customer, once or twice a day, post something. If it's business to business, about 2 to 3 times a week, because then you're posting big articles like thought leaderships and things like that. Then the other thing is to obviously track all those analytics. You would need to do so over at least a 6-month period just to find some sort of a trend. Build then your following by some very cheap advertising on each of those platforms. Facebook is generally a good one, but I know a lot of people have fallen off of Facebook. So Twitter as well, you run ads through them, and each of those platforms have quite a nice layout, and they do also teach you how to use their advertising setup and how it works. And it can be very targeted as well. So it's not like you send an ad out to the whole world. No, you can send an ad out to this age, this gender, in this region. So you can target it so you don't waste money. And just get yourself known. And that's the best way. If it's something very simple and something very small, like let's say you're making face masks and you want to sell them now, one of the best ways to actually get out there is to go on Facebook Marketplace and put it there. Because when people start searching things, and it's completely free.
Cool.
So that would be website and social media is the best way to start off.
Oh, I think we have one more question. You mentioned Wix. What are the disadvantages of using free domains like the free generated ones from Wix rather than just having a custom domain? Does it hurt your business, or is it just nice? Is it just a nice thing to have a custom domain?
It is a very nice thing to have a custom domain name. It also shows a lot more professionalism in the sense of you won't have HTTP myproduct.wix.com, for example. So Wix will always include their name in your path if it's free. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you just plan on staying a small business, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it is free. But if you do want to customize that and start promoting it and actually putting money behind it, it is best to have your own customized domain name. But would it hurt a small business? No. Would it hurt a big business? Yes, because then it makes that organization look like, okay, if you're this big, then why have you not paid for some subscriptions? Is there something we should be concerned about? But people don't take that much into consideration when it's small startups.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Letty. Is there anyone else that would like to ask a question?
Yes, I do have a question.
Okay.
Your presentation was actually quite good and informative for me. So it is safe to say, as you indicated somewhere in your presentation, that the world is becoming digitalized, right? So I would assume that the idea is to have everyone included in the digitalization process. So what do you think can be done for this new phase in the world to be inclusive for everyone? What can be done to make sure that everyone has access and not it being suggestive that this digitalized era is only it will be accessible to those who have the means to access it. So what I'm saying is, what can be done to reach out to communities to make sure that they take part in this transition to a more digitalized era or world. Yes.
Okay, so there is a lot of people. I know we have a farm in the Eastern Cape, and most of our farm workers there who live in these areas who don't have access to the internet or laptops or things like that, they all have a smartphone. So Google has this thing that it does when it crawls and indexes your pages and determines your search engine optimization, that you have to be optimized for mobile first. So all of these things comes through on cell phones, and they need to be optimized for that. There are very few people that don't have at least one smartphone in the household. All of them just about have a Facebook account, which they troll quite frequently. And therefore, if they don't necessarily have access to your website, they will most likely have access to Facebook, which is, if you want to reach those kinds of people or that kind of target market, then you would need to optimize for mobile and push most of your efforts on social media platforms. And then, of course, the other thing you can do, which doesn't involve being digital, is to physically go and run surveys there, find out how many of those people do actually have those kinds of technologies. And you would need to build a marketing campaign around them being more physical rather than digital. But more often than not, households will at least have one smartphone, and they will have access to Facebook.
Thank you, Letty. Is there anyone else that would like to ask a question? Going once, going twice, closing the questions. Thank you very much, Letty. That was very informative. Anzania, another thing to answer your question, another thing to get into the digital platforms and stuff is to join forums such as Women in Big Data, Girl Code, all of those that are advocating for the tech fields, just to get yourself familiarized with what's out there in the market. Learn, as Letty mentioned, free platforms such as Udemy and other training tools as well. I think that also helps to get into this age of tech. So moving on to our last speaker, we're going to have Cleopatra now, who's going to take us through the role of telecommunications in the role that telecommunication plays in continuous intelligence. Cleo, the floor is yours now.
I'm Cleo. I work in telecommunications, mostly dealing with fiber support, where I support people who have issues with fiber connection, getting them connected, and then giving them more information on the fiber department. So let me just try to get my presentation. It's not a big presentation. Mostly it's just about telecommunication, what it is and what it is to continuous intelligence. So Len, 1 second. I'm just gonna explain everything. Unfortunately, I'm unable to share slides with you due to some technical reasons on my side. I would have loved to, so that you can actually be able to see what's happening. So telecommunication is the exchange of signs, signals, messages, words, writing, images, and sound or information of any nature by wire, radio, optic, or other electromagnetic systems. So telecommunication occurs when the exchange of information between communication participants includes the use of technology. Basically, what we're doing at the moment. It's part of telecommunication. For example, voice communication and computer communication. It's actually part of telecommunication. Um, it's part of parcel of everything that we do at the moment. So continuous intelligence and telecommunication. Telecommunication is the important tool for businesses. It enables companies to communicate efficiently with customers and deliver high standards of computer and customer services. Telecommunication is also the key element of teamwork, allowing people to collaborate easily from wherever they are located. So, for example, I feel the need to stream. The impact of continuous intelligence is staying at the forefront of digital transformation. Means embracing constant change. It's about staying nimble to customer demands, tapping into the pulse of shifting market, and taking action on insights as they are developed. All of this can be made possible through continuous intelligence and telecommunication. Case includes email, fax, instant messaging, radio, satellite, telegram, telephony, television, broadcasting, video conferencing, and VoIP, which is voice over IP. So those things form part and parcel of communication. So most of them are done over the internet. So I'm going to focus mostly on what I do, fiber connection and continuous intelligence. So the demand of connectivity is growing. Connectivity allows us to work differently, interact differently. The more connectivity we consume, the faster we require it to work. Fiber optic internet. Most of the people know ADSL. Before fiber, Wi-Fi, and the other stuff, there was ADSL, where it's the use of copper wire. So ADSL means the internet relies on to carry the support of traffic. The more we engage with over-the-top internet service offering like WhatsApp, Skype, Facebook, Netflix, YouTube, the more we rely on connectivity. That will allow us to stay connected in real time, that is without delay. Then the fiber optic then comes into place. Unlike ADSL, it allows us for instant, uninterrupted, and fast connectivity. That is redefined how the internet connectivity has been experienced. So with continuous intelligence, everything is growing. So the connectivity, everyone wants to be online. Everyone, you want to watch news online the way you want to know, not like before where you only had like SABC 1, 2, and 3, where you can only watch things at a particular time. So continuous intelligence and digital forms and stuff like that is actually helping us grow in the telecommunication industry and helping customers, businesses to do things the way they want. Mostly like you can now choose to do Netflix, YouTube, watch news the way you want, do video conferencing, and what we're doing actually now, it's part of telecommunication. Without this, we would have actually be able to send each other email presentation. So now since it's growing, we're not only doing the email presentations, we're able to do Zoom meetings, Skype meetings, and everything due to the growth of the internet. So the fiber connection that I'm actually talking about is faster, more reliable. We do have like more outages and stuff like that, but it helps us. A decade ago, it would have been impossible to know exactly how the internet was to change the way we live, interact, and operate. The only safe prediction for the decades to come is that the evolution of the internet-based technology isn't over. It is happening and will remain in the constant of the evolution. All we can do now is ensure that we are prepared for it. But right now, 5G is coming up and everyone is talking about how coronavirus and stuff like that. So what I can say is that 5G doesn't cause coronavirus, but it's more into the telecommunications. So fiber, LTE, emails, everything, it forms part and parcel of telecommunication. It's growing every day. There's still going to be new things that is developed and that will assist with the communication. So I'm not going to say a lot, so I'm just going to tell you a few words that my manager always tells us. It is just this whole thing. People want to be able to strike a balance between their work style and lifestyle. People want to be able to consume a movie in a real time or chat without being delayed by the interruption in connectivity or the slow transaction line. It is just takes reflecting over the past decade to realize the reality of life we as we are living now. One, we would never have imagined back then, and to understand how we have come, and also to realize the vast possibility of where we are headed to. For example, of how this access speed and connectivity has impacted our lives.
And what's your opinion on the infrastructure that is required for fiber to be effective in SA? Do you think it's sustainable?
It is the telecommunication what's this? The people who deal with the infrastructure, they're getting I don't actually understand the question. Do we have enough infrastructure to balance the fiber, or is it not sustainable?
Is
No,
it
I guess
effective?
what I wanted to find out is obviously there's a certain type of infrastructure that is required for fiber
Mm-hmm.
installations. I just want to know, in South Africa, in your opinion, do you think that um, everyone can have access to fiber, and or do you think that everybody should have access to fiber, and if they should, how can that be achieved? Is that a realistic is that vision realistic really with the current state of our country?
Yes, definitely. They're trying to get everyone. If they're trying to get everyone have access to fiber. Like now, they're trying to roll out fiber also in Soweto, like in rural areas. So depending, like where I'm staying right now, it's next to Katlehong, where Lukshin. So they're trying to get fiber infrastructure rolled out everywhere. So it is sustainable. They have a lot of fiber network operator who have different infrastructure to sustain different type of areas. So the infrastructure is different. There's trench fiber and there's aerial fiber. So trench is like underground cabling, and the other one is on the poles. So depending on which area is and how it's safe, then they roll out in different ways. So they are trying to get fiber rolled out in every province, every province and everywhere in South Africa. So what I can say is it is possible and they are trying. And in 2 years' time, everyone will have access to fiber.
I'd like to add to the answer, if I may.
Mhm.
So, unfortunately, fiber rollout is in the hands of the private sector, right? So it's not a public sector activity yet. So it's not going to be like electricity. It's not going to be like water. And by the mere fact that it's being rolled out by private sector, it means that there's a target market for each of the companies that are doing the rollouts. Some will prioritize the suburbs because they know that they will literally switch on the light and people will be able to pay. Other people will gamble and go to, the low income communities and try and connect them because they know that it's a mass market even though, the cost of the fiber needs to then drop, because then obviously if you are supplying a wider market, there is cost implications to how you roll them out, what you charge them, etc. So I think it is realistic to expect everyone to have fiber, but we must also be aware that it is largely in the hands of the private sector rather than public sector. So we can't expect internet connectivity to be free based on the fact that it's not being rolled out by the public sector.
Thank you guys for that. The next question from Adonis. How can fiber transmission be compared to 5G in relation to bandwidth speed? And what are the health implications of 5G with regards to radiation? Are these levels controlled?
Okay, with let me answer the fiber question. 5G, I'm not sure, so I won't be able to answer that because I'll be lying to you guys. Okay, fiber, they have fast bandwidth. So fiber, not trying actually. Fiber, the main purpose of fiber is that it's fast, reliable, uninterrupted, and yeah, so you can connect whenever, unless if there is actually an outage, which is for every network, there will always be an outage. But the speed, there is for fiber to the home, you have up to 1 gigabyte of speed. So you can buy like fiber uncapped, unshaped, one gigabyte speed, where you can actually stream and do everything. So with 5G, they're still rolling out, but I think it goes up to 500 megabytes into speed. It's still not in the same level as fiber, but they are trying to get it to be higher. So a lot of people can actually be able, those who don't have like fiber infrastructure yet, but the 5G poles are there and stuff like that, can actually get good speeds. So, but to do health implication and stuff like that, I wouldn't be able to give you an answer for that. I don't deal with 5G.
Okay. I think that's all the questions that we have for today. Is there anyone that would like to ask a question? It doesn't have to be relevant to fiber. It can be in maybe you thought of a quick question while Cleo was offline with regards to fiber, or maybe you thought of a quick question in marketing or with continuous intelligence itself. If you have a question, I'm opening up the floor now to ask any question with regards in relation to the topic of today. Any questions? Going once, going twice, going. Okay, I'm gonna close the questions and close the workshop for today. Thank you everyone for taking the time to join today. I hope and I truly hope you gained something from today's workshop and join us in our future workshops that we will be hosting. Thank you everyone.